the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AVWeek, episode 122, recorded Sunday, December 22nd, 2013. The best of 2013.
Ready.
AV Week.
Performing scan.
Week.
Online.
This is AV Week. AV Week. Welcome to AV Week's annual look back at the year. This is the 2013 edition, what we call the best, and this is the most requested, the most emailed, the most downloaded, the best of what we've done this past 12 months. The first segment we have is from episode 93. It was called The CEO Show, mainly because we had three CEOs on: Ron Callis from One Firefly, Paul Harris from Aurora Multimedia, and Doug Fast from NYCE Control. We started out the show actually talking about something that was brand new. It was breaking news, as it were. Ron Callis of One Firefly talking about the introduction of the IMAX home theater system. You know what? In the world of AV, we don't get a whole lot of breaking news, and we have some this afternoon. We are recording this on May 31st, 2013 at roughly 3 o'clock Eastern, which by my estimation is about 7 UTC or 8 UTC. I always forget. And this one actually involves one of our fine guests, Mr. Callis. The IMAX private theater. Both CE Pro is breaking this, as well as there's a story in Wall Street Journal. And if you go to IMAXprivatetheater.com, you can check it out there as well. But Maran, since you had I'm not going to say you had a hand in this. Let's just lay it out there. You had a hand in this, and you've been working on this for some time. Let's just take it down. What exactly is the IMAX private theater?
Sure. Thanks for the opportunity. You know, everybody knows the name IMAX. IMAX is probably one of the more well-known brands around the world. And IMAX has now developed a solution for the private home. So we're calling it the IMAX Private Theater. And my company's role, we've actually been on a consulting basis with IMAX for approximately 2 years. And IMAX has played around with the idea for the better part of a decade of entering the home business. And, my involvement, my partner, Federico Balsoni, along with Theo Calamarakis, and then Paul Self as a consultant, we've worked with the management team at IMAX over the past several years to develop the product and the go-to-market strategy for this really leading-edge product. And the news, it's exciting, when you've worked on something for so long to finally be able to talk about it publicly. The IMAX Private Theater website went live in May, and on May 3rd, I believe it was Friday, if you Google it, the Hollywood Reporter actually broke the story that Seth MacFarlane, the well-known, producer and director, the guy from Hollywood, is one of the first clients. And so at that point, the cat was out of the bag, and the official position from IMAX is just going public today in the Wall Street Journal and in CE Pro, so to the trade. So it's very exciting.
All right, so walk me through this. I mean, this is not just a custom theater, right? I mean, this is it is a custom theater, but it's a custom theater built around the IMAX standard, right?
That's right. The theater meets all requirements and specifications as defined by IMAX. In fact, the finished product gets a limited edition plaque stating that it's, one of so many theaters sold globally. We estimate, I guess there's different estimates, both here at One Firefly and corporately at IMAX, but we suspect we'll sell in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 of these theaters a year. And the electronics package and the screen and the interaction and involvement of the engineering team is really what the consumer is purchasing. The sticker price is $2.25 million. That does include projector, speakers, electronics, control systems, video and audio processing, and screen. That does not include the seating and the interior, materials and build out.
Does it include a popcorn machine?
I think we might be able to throw one of those in.
Wow.
But,
You know what? Here's the thing. You're right about, and there's a line on the IMAX Private Theater website. Everyone has experienced it. Few will own it. This is a different market, right? This is not a Best Buy $2,000 flat screen market.
No, this is a very select group of individuals globally that have you have to combine a number of factors for one of these to get sold. I mean, obviously, they have to have the means. Yeah. So they have to have the net worth to where they can, spend, $2 or $3 million on a room in their home, and for them to, simply be able to do that. But then you also have to have the enthusiast, the person that enjoys movies, enjoys entertaining their friends and their family, and there also is a bit of, I think, ego that comes into it. Someone that would want to be one of a very select people in the world that can have one of these theaters. We've thought of and modeled this a bit after the concept of the Bugatti Veyron. When the manufacturer launched the Bugatti Veyron as a car model, it's in the millions of dollars. It's an expensive car, and the initial thought was that they would perhaps sell a few hundred. And in a very short period of time, they actually had back orders exceeding 1,000 for that $1 million plus car. And so we know that the audience is out there. There are more than 1,000 billionaires around the world. And there are certainly, many more than that, people with net worth, in excess of 50 to 100 million. And those are generally the individuals we see buying these. We also have recently gained corporate approval to place the private theater into community developments, such as high-rises. Oh, so wow. As long as tickets are not being sold, then we can likely place this theater into a high-rise or community development.
Wow. Real quick, and we'll get on to the rest of the stories. Can you talk about what's in it? I mean, can you talk about, you mentioned that the price tag comes with, it includes the projection and the sound and the processing. Can you talk about any of it? Is it all branded IMAX, or is there a specific brand of speaker and projector you're using?
Now, every piece of gear at the end is labeled IMAX.
Okay.
There's no piece of gear in the solution, from the control processor to the projectors and beyond that say another name other than IMAX.
Okay.
The majority of the products are in-house engineered and manufactured. There are a couple of products that are OEM'd and then souped up with IMAX special sauce in order to have them meet the IMAX criteria instead of specifications.
All right.
Hopefully that answers it.
It does. And one last question. Do you think that they will ever show this at Infocom, or not NAB, but CES or another trade show? And if so, how would they work that? Like, would they build it specifically on the show floor? Sure,
that's a great question. Where we're at right now is IMAX is based in Toronto, Mississauga, up in I believe that's Ontario. And at their headquarters, they have the R&D lab where we've already started taking some of we're calling them partners. These are the integrators that are signed on to both sell and install the IMAX private theater. And we've been able to take them up there to experience the visual and the audio experience that is IMAX. The next step is to build out the first official demo theater. So that is currently in development, and so if our partners would like to take customers to see and experience the real thing, they can take them to Toronto. And then beyond, we have our first live installation will be completed this summer in LA. That's Seth MacFarlane's home. And so I'll just say on a very limited basis and with approvals from both IMAX and the client's representatives, we'd be able to take clients through that theater as well. There's obviously a lot of approvals that would have to happen, and a very qualified customer would have to be involved. But one thing I would like to mention, because there may be folks out there that are interested on how they would even get involved, is to please reach out to us or reach out to IMAX and let us know if you'd like to be involved as a partner. We're expecting to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30 IMAX approved technology partners on board. And these partners have really two roles with IMAX, and that is number one as resellers or as sales agents. So the sale, the transaction actually takes place between the homeowner and IMAX. So the contractor, the integrator, has a revenue coming to them in the form of commissions, installation fees, and service fees. And that touches on then the second role of the partner, and that is installation. So even if IMAX makes the sale directly, which that will happen on occasion, then they're still going to be coming to their partners for installation support.
Okay, so that's not quite a true like integration partner setup like, an AMX or a Lutron.
It's non-conventional for sure.
Yeah. It's very cool. I wish I could spend the whole hour talking about this, but
it's been fantastically exciting being involved with it. I've been a movie fan since I can remember, and to have my firm, be in this position and to see, the first article come out or the first ad come out in Rob Report last month. It was, I had to pinch myself just to, to realize that it was real. And now we're on to the task at hand, which is making this a successful launch and making sales.
Well, yeah, now you actually do have to do the work, so. This next segment comes to us from episode 94, actually a week later from the CEO's show. We had a young man on by the name of Joshua Stackhouse. We were talking about fiber, and suddenly he decides to hijack the show and do what at least from what I can tell, is a podcasting first. He wanted to propose.
So, hey, Tim.
Yes.
Well, while we're talking about Fiberplex, I want to hijack the show for just a second, but...
okay.
I think I'm going to pull off an AVWeek first here, but my girlfriend actually happens to work for a company that supports fiber, or Fiberplex, and I wanted to take an opportunity today and ask her, live in front of the entire internet audience, Nicole, I know you listen to every show that I'm on. I love you more than anyone in the world, and my life really started when I met you, and I really came alive, and you make me feel more wanted than any woman ever has before. And will you marry me? Oh, she's not listening, guys. It's just,
okay, show's over. I'm done. Well, there you go.
The audience is going to be sitting there wondering, well, what did she say? What did she say?
Wow.
I know, and I'm such a girl. I'm sitting here like tearing up, like, oh,
I'm tearing up. Are you kidding me? This is freaking awesome.
Say yes.
So I guess everyone's going to have to stay tuned to Twitter and see what she says, but I'll let you guys know.
Somebody should hire you for marketing, by the way, because that's a great cliffhanger. Yeah.
Stackhouse AV.
I was going to say, yeah. What's your Twitter handle?
Stackhouse AV.
There we go. Let us know what she says, and hopefully it won't be like the kiss cam I saw the other day. So, where she said no. So, all right. I'm sure she'll say yes.
Don't pish posh it. Congratulations, guys.
Yes, congratulations, sir.
That's awesome. My only advice: elope. You don't want to spend the money on a wedding.
Amen.
Then have
brother.
a party.
Yeah, elope and have a party. This segment comes to us from episode 105. Give me 3D and my OLED. On the panel was Bradford Benn from Harman, Michael Drainer of Sennheiser USA, Mark Zietken from Wirestorm, and Michael O'Halloran of Samsung. We were discussing the different technologies, and it was based on a blog post, actually, comparing OLED and 4K. In a month from now, Cedia braces and heads to the great mountains of Denver, Colorado. At the on the AV Network blog this week, David King brings up a good, just a good old-fashioned fight, 4K versus OLED, and he says that the fight is on the horizon. Actually, he uses the word skirmish, which it's a fun one. So here's the question, and this is my 2 cents, and this again, I'm the non-manufacturer on the show this week. I don't see 4K versus OLED as a fight, but that's just me. But we're going to take it to the display guy first. Michael, what sort of not controversy, but what sort of battle do we have here? Are we really pitting 4K versus OLED?
Oh, I don't think so. First, I just think it's exciting when the market starts to talk about the new technology that's coming out. This, I think, it harks a little bit back to beta VHS and Blu-ray and HD DVD. Obviously the technologies have been in development for quite some time, and with the 2 different lines coming out and being available in the consumer space, I think there's lots of enthusiasts for technology and video files that will get on one bandwagon or the other, and ultimately we'll see which one the marketplace chooses, just like the products I mentioned out front.
We talked with Gary Yakubian, good Lord, in December of last year. He made the comment, and I shouldn't say Gary. We had Gary on with a couple other people from the CES area. And I want to say it was Gary that said this. He actually likened and linked the two together. So instead of pitting them against each other, he actually said that the success of one is probably going to be tied to the success of the other. Is there any weight to that?
I would think so. The adage that a rising tide lifts all ships. If the marketplace starts to adopt more costly display solutions that work with the technologies that are available out there from our set-top boxes and our Blu-ray players, as well as what might start to bring us the higher resolution for 4K, I think that if there's options to buy better displays for the home, again, it's that choice of which one you'd like to have.
No, that's true. That's true. Mark, when it comes to 4K and OLED, when it comes to you guys do a lot with HD-based T. That's what Wirestorm does. Is this something that you're having to watch, or is HD-based T already there? Are you guys ready for 4K?
I'm pretty excited about it. I was baptized in the commercial pro, display business. So one thing that's interesting is, again, I come from the commercial side of the business, so I'm not speaking for our residential folks. Mm-hmm. But on the HD-based side, the OLED is interesting to me because of power consumption. So let's get that power consumption down. Let's get it to 100 watts. Let's get the screen as large as possible so that we can use the full capability of HD-based T. I've been trying to do that for, hoping for that for 30 years when I was a projector designer. Going to these elaborate, conference rooms and boardrooms, with wood that came from rainforests, and look up and see this albatross cables. Mm-hmm. So that is interesting to me. The 4K side of things, Detroit wants 4K, the military wants 4K. As far as the consumers, I know Best Buy's carrying 4K now. I'm not exactly sure what on the residential side what they're watching for, but definitely there's application in commercial industries.
Yeah, absolutely. Bradford, when it comes to 4K, are you as excited about it as you are 3D?
I'm more excited about 4K than 3D because
that was a loaded question.
What has me so disappointed is I'm waiting until we talk about the next display where we're talking about. I have something saved up for that. So
the curve, okay.
The curved display. Okay. I got something saved up for that one with 3D. But I do agree with Mark and Michael a bunch of there is a lot of advantages to it. I don't think it's a battle of 4K versus OLED because it's kind of like comparing paper versus pencil. You need both.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a different display technology. Yes, there are companies out there who have prototypes available that do both. So I think getting the two aren't battling each other. They're complementary technologies. I think 4K for industrial and commercial applications for command and control centers makes a whole lot of sense. Now that I'm starting to get used to the higher resolution with Retina displays on Macs, I'm seeing the difference that a higher density and a higher image quality can do. I do think the challenge for the home market is getting content. I also think that the cable and broadband providers are going to find it a challenge to get that good content to the set-top box and not have, as many artifacts in terms of compression and still getting a good 4K image. But I do see it having some valid. The energy efficiency of the OLED, I think it makes a lot of sense, but I'm not sure if when people are going out and plunking down 10 grand on a TV that they're thinking about $100 versus $500 in power, just because I don't think anyone else does. But I could be wrong.
Oh, that might be valid, actually. That they're not thinking about the long-term consumption cost, because let's be honest, a lot of us don't think about that unless they're looking at the little energy sticker when they buy the refrigerator.
Now, I do say for the commercial environment, that's a much bigger deal. People are thinking about it practically. Here at home, I think people aren't as involved in thinking about it because they just think, my air conditioner costs me more than anything else. What's the rest of this do?
That's true.
But I do think that the big challenge is, as we've always talked about, you got to have content to drive someone home to see it. To spend that money at home. For the commercial market, it's a good win.
Mike,
I know you were expecting a bigger rant. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You'll save your rant for your 3D. Mr. Drainer, you not only work for Sennheiser now, but you got a history in broadcast, and you and I you've schooled me for a lot of years on trying to get high bandwidth down satellite lines and down cable lines. Bradford brought up a very good point about the content for 4K. Where are we going to get this unless it is really just a version of Blu-ray that can do 4K?
Well, I mean, that's a very valid point. And my question is, where are we at on the development of the advanced compression algorithms to be able to facilitate this delivery? In the commercial space, it's a little bit different environment. A lot of times you're generating that content on site with whether it's command and control, you're doing composite type imaging and multi-window display graphics, things along those lines. But in the residential space, it's a whole different animal. And delivering that high resolution in the bandwidth that we currently have available in the existing infrastructure and do it reliably and well, that to me is going to be the challenge in the foreseeable future. Now, obviously, carriers and service providers are always working to improve the next best, greatest thing. I just haven't seen it yet, so I'm anxious to see where that goes.
Okay. I mean, I'm excited about OLEDs.
Yeah.
But I do think Mr. Drainer brought up a good point. It's the next generation compression, because if someone's spending that much on a big TV, they're going to want good media. And I think that there's some computing horsepower that needs to catch up to make that good compression worthwhile and fast enough that people can deal with it. If it's a 5-minute lag on a baseball game, it's not acceptable. It's a 5-second lag, it's acceptable.
Okay, so again, educate me here, guys, because my whole understanding is if you're looking at a cable box or a satellite box, you're not getting 1080p. I mean, yeah, it might be compressed and then maybe up converted once.
Well, let's clarify something though. When we're talking compression, we're not talking resolution. Okay. 1080p is resolution.
Okay.
It's resolution and refresh and all the things that go into displaying the picture.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the compression rate and how we're dealing with the color saturation and the how we're sampling the motion and the imaging and things like that, so that we can conserve bandwidth in the transmission phase.
Okay.
So that's really where the limitation is that I see at this standpoint. Now, our friends at Samsung, have you guys seen anything coming down the pipe that's going to help facilitate this a little bit better?
Well, I have not myself with the limited scope that I have on the products that I support. If we maybe we recommend that we invite one of the folks from our set-top box team to join in the near future to see if they might be able to speak to that a little bit better.
No, that would be really good. And it kind of goes into the what Mark's doing with the HD-based T stuff, because in last week's show, we were talking about the home distribution and what's happening in the residential
2.0.
market with HD-based 2.0, and how the service providers are going to potentially start rolling this out from the set-top box to in-home distribution, and then we're going to have the local satellite company or cable company deploying the home AV solution. That's great if we can facilitate that all on the HD-based T side, but boy, we really need that transport mechanism to get it to the home prem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And transport's the key for anything. Even once you get it into the house, getting it around your house, all that fun stuff. If it's not easy, if it takes a smart person like Tim to do it,
you might be in trouble.
You might be in trouble.
Then, is it going to be adopted? For better or for worse, you look at how well adopted Apple TV is and TiVo. It's because it's easy, not because it's necessarily the best picture quality.
Yeah, I was at NAB this year, and I thought was interesting is the origination for 4K. I mean, that was what the show was all about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the prices for the camera cost is just plummeting.
Well, and that's just native origination, right? So that's doing native bandwidth, native origination, native bit rates. Now we get into the delivery. Boy, I mean, I remember we were doing satellite uplinks, and this was not that awful long ago. With HD video, we're pushing it down at 20 megasecond in master control, but then trying to squeeze that down to 4 megasecond. And, we had really good algorithms, but boy, it just didn't look the same coming out of master control versus the sat feed. So, I think that people are making these big investments and they like what they see, but I think it's up to the manufacturing community and the service providers to make sure that we're able to deliver as real of an experience as possible to support that.
No, that's valid. Moving on, and we're going to keep on displays for a second here. From HD TV Magazine, Samsung, or actually, I should use the whole title line. Guess what, LG? Samsung's got a 55-inch curved OLED 2. So,
shouldn't that be also?
I didn't write it. Don't stop. You know what? This is not an English show.
That one was for Linda.
It was a part of.
I miss Linda. Yeah, she was great.
Yeah. So, Michael, you guys have a curved OLED.
As well.
As well. Thank you, Mr. Bradford Benn. The first question, I guess, and it's the same one that I asked LG when we started talking to them about it, is why?
Well, that is a great question. And again, I learned a lot about the developments from the consumer electronics side the same way that just about everybody else does. And then I wait a year or two for them to become commercially hardened and transferred into a commercial lineup that I then get to start to represent and know the ins and outs of. From a little bit of my previous life, which was in residential AV home theater design, there was some screen technologies that were starting to come out with that curve, because from the perspective of where you sit, you have a better view of the curved screen than you do the flat rectangle fixed to the wall.
So real quickly, I apologize because I don't mean to keep getting you with residential stuff. Is this something that you could see being used in a commercial application then?
I think what we might see would be a commercial availability of OLED, but I don't think the curve would come with that.
Okay. Just
because the broad deployment of the products are in digital signage and in visual communications, and there's even ADA compliances that we struggle to meet with some of our previous CCFL model displays, which is where we go now with our edge lit. So to have something that intentionally curves from the wall, I don't see it being a great commercial fit personally.
What sort of ADA problems do you have with the display? I'm sorry.
Well, the previous versions of like CCFL displays that could be up to 4 inches thick and then put onto a bracket. There were ADA issues about things mounted on walls in places like hospitals that they were only allowed to come so far from the wall so that they wouldn't interfere with people coming down the hallways.
Oh, okay.
So going to edge-lit displays with slim profile brackets, that's where we're now installing in those types of situations.
That makes sense.
See, now I disagree a little bit. I know I'm not the video guy, but I'm thinking about a command and control center where you have a 55-inch screen with, 4 images on it and one person looking at it, and you want to curve it towards that person so that they don't have to turn their head as much. And I know 55 inches sitting 6 feet in front of you would seem nuts, but 10 years ago, a 27-inch TV sitting 10 inches in front of you would seem nuts as well. So I wonder if that type of usage in the commercial environment would make sense for the curved wall, so that it envelops you a little more, especially also for simulators.
Yeah, the curve is they're marketing it as immersive, right? They're using the word immersive.
Yeah.
So the commercial marketplace is looking for immersive environments. There's a couple really great integrators out there. Mechdyne is one in Iowa, Marshalltown, Iowa, and they can create with a series of projectors a complete immersive environment, these caves and such. And then on the other side of it, the consumer side, I remember when I was first selling panels for Sharp. I mean, the widescreen experience really doesn't start until you get to about a 30-inch size screen. And someone mentioned the distance to the screen too. So I think that's what they're trying to get to is more of an immersive environment where you're more, you're getting the full HD experience.
So can I have in Bradford? This is one just for you, my friend. I want a curved OLED with 3D.
I'll just come over and poke you in the eye.
Well, here's the thing.
For those that don't know, we have this great. I'm not going to say a hatred,
it's a
but
love-hate
it's
relationship
with
3D.
Yes,
we love to hate it.
Yes.
Actually, Bradford, this is something where you could actually do 3D well if it's curved. I mean,
and actually, the one that had me interested was reading the article of the fact that it can use the shutter display to show 2 different images to 2 different people, just like what 3D does, of one on each eye. But now you can have 2 different people watching it. I'm just trying to figure out who gets to decide what they listen to.
Well, yeah.
But I do see...
We can hook them up with some multi-channel IR systems. No, not a problem.
Okay, but I'm just picturing me and my wife getting into a fight over who gets to listen to the audio. But that's a whole other debate.
She does. Come on, don't fight.
Very nice. Very well
done.
The
actual glasses that are pairing with this, from what I understand, the second viewer's glasses would have a pair of earbuds to deliver the audio with it as well.
That's
very
cool.
Nice.
I would just turn on closed captioning. But I think that the 3D...
That's because you're the only deaf audio guy I know.
What?
Oh, jeez.
But the 3D thing, and to be a little fair, is mainly because with my eyesight, I don't see 3D no matter how much money they spend on it. So to me, it's just a waste of extra data, which, I save all my electrons. I still think it's just fancy copy protection.
Well,
but that's Tim's opinion also.
Well, it is. And you and Michael both have, I don't know if you have the same eye condition, but he has the same situation where he can't see 3D very well, if at all. And it's good Lord, this has been Infocom like 5 years ago. He and I are standing at the 3D pavilion, shoulder to shoulder, and I can see it fine and he can't see it at all. And I'm like, well, good Lord, if they can't get 2 random people, the same algorithm to affect two random people.
Now, I do think having the curved wall or the curved display gives it a better chance because, in theory, if you're sitting in the focus of that parabola or curve, your distance to the screen would be much more consistent and, in theory, could work better. And I've seen that in a couple of theme park attractions, and it does play better, but I'm still not sure that it's everything that Mr. Drainer is trying to bait me into.
Well, it probably isn't. I mean, let's be honest. But it is. Here's the thing. You're probably right, Bradford, when it comes to some of the commercial applications because, I still remember watching war games when I was a kid. And the giant...
Would you like to play a game?
The giant video wall that they had up there. I mean, that's... Granted, we've come a long way from, the 1980s.
What was his name? Joshua.
Yeah.
That's right.
Whopper.
Yeah, very nice. 4K seemed to be a theme in 2013. This segment comes to us from episode 115 with Sam Malik from ASK Proxima, Ted Green from the Stratacon Group, and Kevin Iselli from Crestron Electronics. We were discussing the brand new Sony 4K camcorder, which gives basically 4K content creation to the masses. This is from AV Network. Sony brings 4K content creation to the masses. Did you hear that, Mr. Iselli?
Woo!
4K.
I'm sorry, I was not paying attention.
The PXW Z100 4K camcorder. That's right, kids. You can make your home movies in 4K.
Sorry, what was the price of that device?
It's a camcorder.
$6,500.
Yeah.
Which is not, it's a slightly more than the Z1U about 7-8 years ago, which was
You just need 2 credit cards instead of one.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I have like 5 or 6 of those just laying around doing nothing.
Jeez. Okay, but it's a start. At least give me it's a start.
It's a
Yeah, come on. The biggest knock, and Kevin and I have had this conversation on air and off, that about 4K is the fact that there's no content. Here's content. Here is honest to goodness homemade content. Is it not?
I didn't say there wasn't content. You can go to YouTube and get content right now.
You can download it. You can't stream it.
Well, you think you're going to be able to stream 4K?
Eventually.
That's a different story altogether, my friend.
Eventually. Hey, hang on. 1999, you were not going to be able to stream 1080p, right? You weren't going to be able to stream HD content. And now you can stream HD content. Right?
Sure.
Okay.
All I can say is Mom better get that mole removed
very
and,
nice.
and her mustache waxed before you start talking around that.
Yeah, very good point. Well, you know, you're right, Tim. I mean, you and I have had this discussion many times. When looking at especially display technology, my hang up is I've always been more upset at the fact that everyone has seemed to have bypassed or is putting OLED off to the side just so they can dangle the next carrot of resolution of 4K in front of you, where I and you know how I feel. I said let's take this new OLED technology, which provides us with an absolute myriad of new opportunities, and it seems like most display companies have just said, yeah, okay, whatever, 4K.
And I would agree with you. One thing, though, that some analysts and some industry people are saying, especially in the consumer electronics industry, is why don't we marry the two? Similar to where HD and flat panels were married in the early 2000s. Why don't we marry 4K to OLED and push them together at the same time? Would that make sense?
Yeah, that would make the best sense, if you will. But I think maybe it's more of a business decision to say, hey, let's get you first into a 4K and then let's turn you on to a new technology, display technology. What I like, honestly, is I've seen a couple of these displays at the box houses with the Sony 4K, the display, and it's not that cracks me up. It's actually the movies that they're promoting underneath it, the digitally remastered 4K, which is quite humorous because Tim, you're broadcasting. We kind of both had a similar upbringing, in the film industry. If you were to rasterize, let's say you're 35 mil, you're well above 4K, and they're saying that they've taken the source material, brought it down to 4K, and then mastered it off of that. Yet when you look at every one of these Blu-rays, they still say making the ultimate of your 1080p video, right? It's still outputting 1080p.
Yeah.
So most people are looking at this saying, hey, I'm getting a 4K Blu-ray, and no, you're not.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
No.
So they're stepping down the resolution to master it at that level?
Well, yeah, if like Kevin said, if you're taking the original solenoid, if you're taking the original film or whatever it is that you shot this on, and you master it in 4K, quote unquote, you're busting it down. You're reducing the resolution.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's like over 600 DPI or such if you're doing film, so you're well
incredible.
Well, is it
the 6, like you would say the 6 or 8K? and beyond, actually, for film.
Yeah, but what is it? I don't remember if it was one of your DM classes or something else I read somewhere where they compared, and it was a graph. It was a beautiful graph.
Yeah.
The actual picture size, the original resolution in picture size between, they started with 480, and then they raised it all the way up to 8K, and good Lord, I mean, the 480 is down here as a postage stamp, and 8K is a semi trailer.
I love how they do that, though. They always talk about resolution and compare it to size.
Well, yeah, but
you can't do that, right?
You can't, but it makes sense to people.
Are you saying size doesn't matter?
What I hear.
Oh, jeez. Wow. This is
it's the analogies we've always seen, or the charts we've always seen, where they show a 4:3 image, and then a 16:9, and then a 2:3:5, and they keep blowing it up, like you get to see more of the image, almost like you're looking through, like you're vignetting your video, right? Like, I can't see what's all there, but if I had more resolution, I could see behind me.
But yeah,
right?
That's true. Yeah,
that's how they present this. It's like, no, you're only still going to see what the device is capturing. It doesn't expose more than what's already there.
But you understand.
But you
understand why they do it. Yeah, because
bigger is better.
Not only bigger is better, but sometimes our brains and our I don't know why it is, but a lot of times it's just easier for people to understand it that way. I mean, in essence, what we're saying is there's more information, right? There's more information in an 8K screen or an 8K display or source than there is in a 480.
There's the same information. It's broken down into smaller bits.
Okay. Is the file size bigger?
Absolutely.
So it's
but
bigger.
That's because you broke it down into smaller bits.
So it is bigger.
It's a bigger spreadsheet. You just don't have to scroll to see it.
There you go.
That's all. Yep.
We're done here.
Ted, is this a good thing? The fact that we're getting homemade 4K, or is Kevin right? The $6,500 price tag is a bit steep.
I was at a Sony event where they rolled out their 3D TVs, and then they turned around and tried to convince us that 3D was going to be the next big thing, because they at the same time rolled out 3D camcorders, and they also rolled out or announced 3D digital cameras. So I'm not sure that that was their same pitch. Was, look, now we'll have millions of people creating 3D content, and it'll help sell 3D. And it didn't seem to really matter. It didn't help 3D at all. I kind of get what you're saying, and there's no question that as we do these format changes, we get into these chicken and egg scenarios where the content creators want to see a large installed base of displays, and the displays can't sell because there's no content. And so, arguably this will help. But I think 4K has a better chance of success only because it's a little more easily understandable by the average consumer. But I don't know if it's going to help. It's we got to wait for the replacement cycle to kick in before there's going to be an appreciable uptick in display sales.
Hang on for a second, Ted. You think that it's more easily understood than to the average consumer? The fact that that they started with 4K and also UHD TV, which is not quite 4K. I think that confuses me.
I think that sometimes what we do these things in our industry, we dumb it down. There's a 50-watt amplifier, there's a 100-watt amplifier, so the consumer can kind of categorize in his mind.
Okay.
And so 4K is a little bit easier. The juxtaposition between HD and then 4K is a little easier for them to grasp. I'm not going to say they understand all the intricacies of what that means, but is a little bit easier for them to understand than, say, like OLED, which is a completely different technology and is, it's a great technology, but requires a lot more explanation. It's a little harder for the consumer to grasp what that means.
This is my 2 cents. You don't have to explain OLED to them. Just show it to them.
Just show it to them.
That's all I'm saying.
Very true.
Holy cow.
The 4K in the camera, though, Tim, also, and Ted's right, but I think we also have to look at what does this mean by having readily available 4K cameras or, the ability to get these devices to capture the content. It was actually you, Tim, that sent me an article about the broadcast community saying that our infrastructure is nowhere ready for this. Meaning broadcast.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You are
that's
not
correct.
Going to broadcast 4K. So what are we actually doing by propagating a 4K world? Are we basically looking to the broadcast community and say, "Thanks for coming. We'll take it from here"?
Yes.
And
yes, you are.
Japan right now is testing an 8K system.
Yeah, Japan has already they have technically broadcast OTA over the air 8K.
Yeah, they're testing it right now.
Yeah.
Kirk Cameron's shooting his next movie in 8K right now.
Wow. What'd you say, Kevin?
Has anybody done 2K yet?
No. They just bypassed it. Now, here's the thing. To Kevin's point more directly, yes, that is exactly what we're saying. And understand that's a bigger question than that you're asking. Unfortunately, broadcasters, people who own sticks, people who own broadcast towers, have the potential of being left behind because you have the next great transport, and that is the internet. That's what we're all talking on now. That's how people are getting this program. And I don't know if it's 3 years or 5 years or if it's 10 years, but there's going to come a point in time when owning a broadcast tower and $3 will get you a Starbucks, where it won't matter the fact that you have a broadcast tower or a broadcast license, because people will be able to do just that. Buy a 4K camera, produce it, and shoot it down the internet at a higher quality than what people can get over the air or over the cable. And when that happens, yes, we'll say, thank you for getting us from here. Thank you for Uncle Milty, and I love Lucy, and we'll see you next time.
But you also have to remember we're also relying on that infrastructure, that wonderful series of tubes we have to be able to support this.
No, we're not. We won't be though.
Yeah, but you're also saying that. Well, I'm sorry. What I'm looking at as a potential issue is that you have to plan to watch the 5 o'clock evening news at 10:30 when it's downloading, or at least has buffered enough that you can watch it.
But here's the thing: you don't have to do that now.
Because this is not a real time.
Well, no, but there are. I mean, my local NBC affiliate. You can watch it. You can stream it from your tablet, or you can stream it from a number of internet enabled devices while it's happening live. So I can do that, or I can download it later and stream it later, rather stream it on demand. So
make sure you're looking at that quality that you're receiving, though. That's what I'm saying. Because if we're going to 4K,
yes,
think of it from a standpoint of a purist. If I want 4K, I want 4K. I don't want you to tell me I can watch 4K, or we're recording in 4K, but I'm getting the 720 stream.
And then we can have a conversation about whether or not the consumer can tell the difference between 720 and 1080.
Yeah. Well, he's looking at it on a smartphone. So 4K is going to be obviously 30 times better than 720.
Obviously.
Sam, do you want to chime in on this 4K
Sorry,
at all?
was rhetorical.
Or can we move on as from here? Finally, as we wrap up the best of 2013, let me take a moment and say, on a personal note, thank you so much for continuing to listen, continuing to download, sharing the content with your friends and even your enemies. We appreciate it. All of us here do at AVNation and the work that we do. We appreciate you going to the website, reading the blogs, reading the posts, retweeting, and all of that. This year has been an interesting year. We've hit a milestone. We had our 100th episode, and that was something kind of neat, a chance to look back and see where we've gone and maybe where we're going. 2014 looks to be an interesting year for AVNation, so stay tuned. If you'd like to find out more about us and about what we do for the AV industry, go by the website, avnation.tv, avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and a prosperous 2014. Thanks.